and welcome to a new Sketch to Scrapbook page. I'm Shimelle Laine, and today's sketch includes one 4x6 photo and 3 square photos, but you could easily make that 6. I'm going to do 3 blocks of pattern paper and 3 square photos. So this is another sketch in the series that encourages you to mix the photos from your regular camera that is not a phone with the square photos that you might take with your camera phone. Although, of course, you could use any photo that you've taken with any camera and crop it to either size, either way. I'm using mostly supplies from my June Best of Both Worlds kit. I'm using this floral paper from Find Your Wings and Fly by My Mind's Eye, which I've used before, but I've used it cut into small pieces, and this time I'm going to use it as a full 12 by 12 background. The opposite is this lovely lime green. I'm also going to use some of the stickers that coordinate with that same line. You can see that floral appear here again. And the Alison Craft stamps for Webster's Pages. These are red rubber stamps that are cling, so they stick to a clear acrylic block. And there's several different phrases there. And then I'm just adding in one scrap of paper from Dear Lizzie, Fifth and Frolic that I have left over from other pages that I've scrapped for this particular album, which is my sister-in-law and brother-in-law now's wedding. So I have 3 photos that I took on my phone on the day, and then 1 picture that I took with my regular camera. I'm not sure how well this photo is going to show up on film. It's really dark where they were inside, and they were leaving the cottage to go outdoors to the wedding. So I'm not sure how well it's going to turn up there, but being there on the day, I really like how this captured the real situation of it being dark inside the cottage. You open the door and there was all this bright sunshine. So I really like the high contrast from one side of the photo to the other, but I can imagine that it may be difficult to make out their faces from the video. But looking at it in real life, I really like how it captures the moment. So I'm going to start with this sketch, and then the little twist this time is to try putting the text on the photo. You can of course do that in your processing and print it out with the text already on the image, but you can opt to not do that, which is what I've done. This is just a normal standard 4x6 print, and I'm going to add the text over the top with a combination of stamps and letter stickers. So I'm going to add a few little things in here as I go, because I have a bag of supplies that's all the different things I've been putting in this particular wedding album, but I'll get everything set up with this as my background paper. With all the blocks cut out, it looks a little bit like this, and the sketch doesn't call for a separate box to go behind all these elements. So if I follow the sketch directly, I'd be attaching them right to the page, and in fact I'd be moving these up a little bit so that I have room for my writing here at the bottom of the page. And what I'm thinking is, because I've used such a bold print in the background, it would be better for me to have some sort of subtler pattern that goes just as a block behind the photos and all these little paper squares. So I'm thinking this would be a better mix. Now this is a piece of pattern paper that I have in that box of supplies I've been using for the wedding. It's from Cartabella. It's just a green mini polka dot. And these are the little Dear Lizzie, Fifth and Frolic pieces, and what I did with those was just use one of the squares from the photos as a template and cut 3 squares to match. So I'm thinking this would be the better balance on the busy pattern paper, and I might go ahead and include a little bit of this here to have the journaling on top of this as well. I can always crop it back if I decide I'd rather write on the floral background, but difficult to add to it. So I think I will go ahead and start there. Likewise, even though I've got this all centered here, what I'd prefer to do is work from one corner, because I can always crop the other side back, and it just makes it easier to get all the margins the same if I align everything with one side and then go back and trim the background paper to fit. So make sure that I have everything aligned down this side, and I'm matching these 2 margins here. And I can piece everything else in and cut away any excess where you can see this margin at the moment is going to be too wide. So I'll just trim a little bit more from there. And for the moment, I'm going to leave a wide margin at the bottom to see if I want my journaling on the polka dot or on the floor. Really, really simple. So that's attached, and I've added the journaling at the bottom here. And now I want to go ahead and work on this text on the photo, which I want to include some stamped words and some letter stickers. So these stamps just have a backing that peels off, and then they attach to an acrylic block. So they work just like a clear stamp, except with the quality of red rubber. But they don't take up as much room as a red rubber stamp that's on a wooden block, because you just need the one block and then you can have as many designs as you want. So for this particular one, I'm going to go with this design that says "Oh So Happy," and in fact I've already used that one, so I don't need to peel the paper off. And I can figure out where I'm going to stamp this before I put any ink on it. I'm going to put it right there in this little gap there. And I'm going to use some brown ink in this case, because throughout this album I'm using a color scheme of pink, green, and brown with a couple different shades of pink and a couple different shades of brown. So I like to go ahead and stamp on just normal paper once to make sure everything looks how I want it to look. So yep, that stamp's nice and neat, no problem. So with a little bit of luck, then I can repeat the same exact thing on top of the photo. I just want to be careful that I don't have any ink around the edges, or that I have it upside down or anything like that, since I'm putting it right on top of the picture, and I hope I get it right the first time. There we go. And different inks will and will not work on different photo finishes. So this particular photo is one that's actually been printed by a photo lab rather than printed on a computer printer. So it has a glossy finish, and this particular ink will take a little while to dry. I could use StazOn, and that would dry pretty much instantly on top of a photo. And there are a few inks that won't work on top of a photo. So my advice, if you are unsure as to which ink will work in your particular collection, is to find a photo that has the same finish. So you printed it on your home printer, or you had it from the same development lab, anything like that, and just take one of the outtake photos and keep it in your drawer as a little bit of a reference, and then you can stamp that ink onto a corner of a photo that's never going to make it onto your scrapbook page, and you always have a little bit of a practice that way, so you can test everything out. So I'm going to let this dry and then do a little bit more titling with some letter stickers right over the top. With my letter stickers, I'm actually going to be using the numbers, and I just want to put the date of the wedding in a line above the stamped letters. So I'm going to use the top of those letters as the baseline for the letter stickers, or number stickers. And these are from Jelly Bean Soup. They're the newer font in the Alpha Beans stickers. There's also a smaller font. This one is about the same width, but really tall letters. So it's a tall, narrow font, which makes it great for being able to fit into narrow spaces. So even if you have lots to spell, it won't necessarily take you the whole page. So just popping their wedding date in here, and then I'll add some punctuation there as well, so hopefully it will make sense. For the embellishment, I'm going to pull in just a couple more things, some brown wood grain washi tape, because I haven't really brought in the dark brown that is in the color scheme of this, aside from the lettering there. And then I used a label punch on that same pattern paper, but I'm going to use the B side, which is this pale pink floral. Then I'm going to bring in my sticker sheet that I had from the beginning. So I'm going to use the washi tape to block out the 3 spots where I'm going to add embellishment. So the top up here, the join between the large photo and the small one, and then right down at the bottom corner as well. So I'm just going to take some of that tape and draw a little line in each of those 3 spots, so that I know exactly where my embellishment is going to start. and I can build on top of that space. So 3 areas of embellishment. 2 of them I'm going to use the labels and 1 without. So I'll start with the one without the label. This is just a little heart-shaped sticker from the sticker sheet, and I'm going to start building this bit of embellishment with that and then add something into the side that has some other color so it's not just the 2 shades of brown. And then these tags, and trying to decide where the tag should go in relation to the tape, and I'm actually a little curious if it might look better with the tag underneath here and the tape over the top, which I think I'm going to like better because then it will be tidier in between the photos. Yeah, so I'll just do that with both of them. I do like that about washi tape because it means you don't have to commit until you're happy with everything. You can always move the tape around, which is useful. So this way, it's nice and tidy there at the edge and I don't have the pink in between the photos. And then on my sticker sheet here, I have this one that's printed with the photos. Now this is actually one sticker, but I'm cutting it in half, or I have already cut it in half, so I can use it in the 2 spots on the page so that I'll have the same sort of shape and pattern. And I'll use some pop dots with these, and I'm just inking the edges to make it coordinate with everything else. And I can line up that flat edge here with the edge of the green paper, so I'll still see a little bit of the washi tape below there. And repeat the same thing over here on the side. And that way, where I have the tape around the edge and the pop dots, that helps separate the 2 pieces that are the same pattern because the sticker is the same pattern as the background paper. So to have that little bit of separation helps so that it doesn't just look like the same pattern on top of itself. Just tiny little details there around the edge. Now I want to have some small little scattered embellishments, so I'll look for some little elements that I can add in there to mix up the texture. To change up the texture, I've added enamel dots and then some loops of baker's twine. And for the baker's twine, I just take it and place it on a bit of paper that doesn't matter, and then roll the glue over the top. And spray adhesive also works well if you have good ventilation. And then with those little glue dots stuck to the twine, you can just roll it until it twirls into pretty little circles. And then you can wrap it around some of the dots and pearls and things like that. And because these stickers are on pop dots, you can tuck it underneath and it will stick to the back of the sticker. So you end up with both the layered effect of having the twine underneath the sticker and then next to the sticker, but also the back of the sticker can help keep the loops in place. It's definitely a little bit fiddly, but just be patient with the twine and it does work out eventually. And if you get a little bit at the end that just wants to create a straight line and not curve, then you can just trim it away. Then I wanted to add a little bit of something to the title to bring in the extra color, and throughout the album I've been using these little tiny die cut hearts. So I'm just going to add one of these right in the middle of all that with a little pop dot. And then one last bit, I'm going to use a stamp. This is an Evalicious stamp that just has an arrow that says love inside the arrow. And I'm going to make it point toward the embellishments in theory. And I think this would be an okay place to stop if if that's enough embellishment for your style. But when I was comparing it to different pages that I've created for this album, it was just a little too bare. So that's why I wanted to bring in the stamped arrows to the 3 spots on the page. And this one, if I did it this way, it would be completely upside down. I'm okay with it going on the vertical though. So just move this twine so that I can stamp along here. And where that arrow hasn't, I've not worried about stamping it exactly in place, is because I wanted to bring in a tiny little heart stamp and mix that in. I have a few of these teeny tiny little hearts in outlines and solids. Lawn Fawn sets have quite a few, so this is from one that has little Chinese takeaway and fortune cookies, but they have them in several different sets, and I just want to add the little heart where those gaps are so that it doesn't really matter that that arrow is not perfectly straight. And again, this is a choice because these hearts kind of repeat throughout the album. So I've normally stamped the outline in brown and then filled the heart in with pink. So in this case, I think I'll just use a pink marker to go around the edge of one side of the heart. I don't need a lot of color since I'm on top of that pattern paper that has plenty of pink in it already. So this is where I'm going to call this one finished. I'll get this stuck back in place in just a second. That should work for now. And you can find this sketch at shimelle.com, and you can click the link below the YouTube video if you're viewing on YouTube. It'll take you to the post to see another interpretation of this sketch, and you can print this out and save it, or save it and print it out. If you make something from this sketch, I'd love for you to share it with us so that we can see all the different pages that came from that same starting sketch. I wish you lots of happy scrapping, and I'll see you soon.